If you've been feeling tired or strangely flat and you can't fully explain why, it may not be your workload. It may be a rule you are living by, an invisible contract, one you never consciously agreed to, but you have been paying for it anyway. Today, I want to name those contracts because once you can see them, you can stop living under them. I've mentioned before, but I will point it out again. Most women I speak to don't lose themselves in a single crisis. They lose themselves through a pattern that looks completely normal from the outside. You volunteer before anyone asks. You carry the extra load because you can. You say yes to avoid friction. You stay calm so the room stays calm. You become the regulator, the one who keeps things steady. And it gets praised as competence, as reliability, as strength. But underneath that pattern, there's usually an unspoken rule you are obeying. A private agreement like, if I am easy to be with, I will be loved. If I am needed, I am safe. If I disappoint people, I will lose connection. If everyone is okay, then I can finally relax. If I keep everyone happy, I will finally feel secure. And the reason this is so dangerous is that it doesn't feel like a belief. It feels like the truth. It feels like this is just who I am. But it's not who you are. It's what you learned. And let me give you a few of the most common ones I see in my day-to-day work. And as you listen, notice which one makes your body go quiet, because that's usually the one that's running you. Contract number 1, the good woman contract. And it usually sounds like this: if I am good, I will be loved. This one is dangerous because it doesn't feel like self-abandonment. It feels like being mature. It feels like being a good person. So you become the woman who is polite, reasonable, understanding even. You choose the right words. You soften your tone. You don't want to be dramatic. You don't want to be too much. You don't want to be that woman. So, what do? You swallow what you actually want to say. You let things slide. You take the higher road again. You tell yourself you're fine again. You forgive quickly even when nothing has changed. And you do all this because somewhere along the way you learned, if I am too honest, I will be rejected. If I am too direct, I will be judged. If I have needs, I will be a burden. If I create discomfort, I will lose love. So you keep the peace by shrinking your truth. And the cost doesn't show up immediately. That's why it lasts so long. The cost shows up later as resentment, as emotional distance, as numbness, as that quiet feeling of, I am doing everything right, but I'm not fully here. Because love that requires you to stay good isn't love at all. And by deciding to break this contract, you decide to become honest. It means letting your truth exist, even if it creates discomfort, even if your voice shakes. Because the question you need to ask yourself over and over until it becomes your automatic go-to is, am I being true? Contract number 2, the useful woman contract. If I am needed, I matter. This one doesn't look like insecurity, but like competence. You're the one who remembers everything, who anticipates the problem before it happens, who fills the gap without being asked. You go beyond doing your part. You become the system. You carry the mental load. You fix, manage, organize, smooth, rescue. And at first, it feels so good because you are reliable. You are praised. You are the safe pair of hands. But slowly, usefulness becomes your identity. You start feeling uneasy when you are not producing. Rest starts to feel like laziness. Receiving feels uncomfortable. And I can't feels like failure. And then, without meaning to, you train people to underfunction because you always overfunction. So you end up exhausted and quietly resentful because you are giving without being met. And this is when you start asking yourself, why doesn't anyone take care of me? But the deeper question you need to ask is, have I made myself so capable that no one thinks they have to? Contract number 3, the Peacekeeper Contract. If I keep the peace, I will be safe. This contract usually comes from a real place. At some point, conflict didn't feel safe for you, so you learned to prevent it. You read the room fast. You sense mood shifts. You adjust your tone, your timing, your needs so nothing escalates. When you're under this contract, you compromise early. You say yes when you mean no, because the tension after no feels worse than the cost of self-betrayal. You avoid the conversation you know you need to have. You wait until you are calm. Then you wait longer. Then you tell yourself it's not worth it. But avoiding conflict doesn't create peace. It creates silence. And silence becomes distance. Because even if you look stable on the outside, on the inside, you are collecting unspoken truths, unexpressed disappointment, unmet needs, unclaimed boundaries. And eventually, that peace gets paid for with resentment, numbness, or emotional withdrawal. Real safety comes from the ability to be real without abandoning yourself. And the last contract that I want to cover is contract number 4, the approval contract. If they approve of me, I can relax. This one is so exhausting because it never ends. If approval is what calms your nervous system, you will keep chasing it even after you get it. Under this contract, you become hyper-aware of how you're being received. You scan faces, you interpret tone, you replay conversations in your head. You wonder if you were too much, too direct, not enough. And you shapeshift. With one person, you are softer. With another, you are impressive. With another, you're easy. You edit your truth until it becomes acceptable. And the cost is that you are never fully in the moment because part of you is always managing perception. Approval becomes your drug, and the withdrawal is anxiety. The shift starts when you replace the question, do they approve of me, with, do I approve of myself right now? Did I betray my truth to be liked? Did I abandon my needs to stay accepted? Because the goal here is to be with yourself everywhere you go. And here's the thing. These contracts are not bad. They often form because at some point they work to keep you protected. They help you to belong, and they help you to survive emotionally. But what protected you then is now costing you your life force. I want to share a story from my book Close Out because it captures this perfectly. I want you to imagine a woman who lives in a beautiful house on a hill. At first, she loves it. It's full of light. The windows are open. It feels like her. And then people start commenting, "This is too bright. Why is it so open? Don't you think it's a bit much? That color is intense. Close that window. It's loud." And because she wants to be liked, because she wants to be accepted, she starts making small adjustments. She closes one window, she changes one color, she dims one light. And she does all this not because she believes it's wrong, but because she doesn't want the discomfort of being judged. And slowly, over time, the house becomes darker, colder, smaller. And one day, she sits in that house and thinks, why do I feel depressed? Why do I feel disconnected? Why don't I feel like myself anymore? But this change didn't happen overnight. It happened one dimming at a time. That's the invisible contract. It's the part of you that whispers, just adjust, just soften, just don't upset anyone. And the price becomes you don't feel like you. This shows up everywhere. It shows up when you say yes to one more thing, even though you are already stretched thin. It shows up when you don't ask for what you want because you don't want to seem needy. It shows up when you're in a relationship and you keep giving. But the truth is, you haven't said what you actually need in a long time. It shows up at work when you keep over-delivering because you are terrified of being seen as replaceable. And then the resentment starts. And it's not about being ungrateful, but because deep down your system knows something here is not true, resentment is often the first sign that the contract is starting to break. Your soul is basically saying, I can't keep paying for love with self-abandonment. So here's what I would like you to do. I call it a clean moment of truth. Get a piece of paper or use your notes app and write this. The contract I've been living under is, fill the blank. And let me give you some example. If I am always available, I will be valued. If I am easygoing, I won't be rejected. If I do more, I will finally feel secure. If I don't say anything, I won't lose connection. Then write the following. The cost of this contract is. Be specific. Don't just write, it's hard. Write, what does it cost you? Is it peace, energy, desire, self-respect, intimacy, time, your health? Then write, a truer contract is, this is the rewrite. This is where you rewrite what you want the contract to be. Some examples are, I can be loved and still say no. I can disappoint people and still be a good woman. I can be honest without being harsh. I don't have to earn rest. I don't have to perform to belong. And then the most important part, the one window I am going to open this week is one small act of self-loyalty. It could be say no once without a long explanation. telling the truth in one sentence, asking for what you need directly, not rescuing someone from their discomfort, choosing rest even if you feel guilty. One window, because this is how you rebuild yourself. You don't start by declaring new identity immediately. You start practicing self-respect in small, consistent ways. If this episode is resonating with you, just remember that you were never too much, difficult, or broken. You've just been living under rules that required you to dim yourself to stay connected. And the work now is simple. It's not easy, but it's simple. Stop negotiating with your own truth. Open one window. And if you want support with that, personal, direct, and practical, you can book a 70-minute research session with me. The link is in the show notes. Also, that house on the hill story is from my book Close Out, Thriving in a World That Wants You Tamed. If you want to go deeper into this pattern and how to break it, I will include that link in the show notes too. And one more thing. If you haven't listened to episode 4, the automatic yes that costs you, go there next, because that yes is often the first place we start dimming the lights. I will leave you with this question. What is the truest thing about you that you've been editing to stay loved? Talk soon.